Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I'm going to do this quick hangout about some statements that Viola Davis made. Before I get started, I'm going to wait for at least a couple of people to tune in. I know it's super early and most people are getting ready for work. I'm getting ready for work. So I only have a little bit of time on here. So I see that we have a few people. So I'm going to get started by sharing my screen. And again, I encourage people to turn on those notifications so that you know when I do these live streams, because often, I'll do them without planning them. I don't usually make announcements for when I'm going live. I don't have a regular set day like some other YouTubers. So you all need to turn on those notifications so you'll know right away when I'm going live on a particular issue. So this morning I saw this article in the Atlanta Black Star about Viola Davis. And I'm going to read a couple of excerpts from the article, and then I'm going to provide my commentary. This woman, Viola Davis, is in this film entitled Widow. And it's a very, it seems like a very exciting film. I've seen the previews for it. I really can't wait to see it. And I'm not one of these people because I have one particular issue in a film, I'm not going to watch the film. I think that's silly and juvenile. But anyway, let's go into what's said in this article. Like in this article, it talks about this scene in the film where she's kissing this actor, Neeson. She's kissing him, and, he's a big time actor. Neeson, I mean, he's been in a whole bunch of films. And she talks about this particular scene and she says this: "For me, this is something you will not see this year, last year, or the year before that. That is a dark-skinned woman of color at 53 years old kissing Neeson. Not just kissing a white man, but a hunk, kissing him sexually, romantically." And she said, "No one will pay attention to that. If you mention it to someone, I think they'll feel like it's hip and it's funky, that they didn't even notice it. But will you see it again? If you don't think it's a big deal, then tell me, why isn't it happening more? There's a part of me that can answer that." And then she goes on to say this: "I always say that one thing missing in cinema is that regular Black woman, not anyone didactic or whose sole purpose in the narrative is to illustrate some social abnormality. There's no meaning behind it other than she is just there. I would love to have a Black female," and then she goes on to name all these different characters that she would like to have, like Annie Hall, etc. "But who's going to write it? Who's going to produce it? Who's going to see it again and again and again?" So basically, she's saying that there should be more scenes where you have dark-skinned, older Black women with white men. So let me stop sharing my screen and, just provide my brief commentary about this. So the first thing I'll say is this, man. I think that she's made these statements to generate controversy. And we know that controversy is used to promote films and different projects. So I think that that's one way that she's trying to promote this film, by making this controversial statement and bringing attention to the fact that there's some interracial love scene in this film, an interracial relationship between a Black woman and a Black man. So I think that that's a marketing issue, to create controversy and attention. And clearly, it's succeeding in that purpose, because a lot of people here on YouTube have been talking about it. Now, I haven't had a chance to see many of these videos where people are talking about it, but I know that it's creating a buzz on social media. A lot of people are talking about it, and that translates to more people going to see this film. And I plan to see it. I planned to see it before, I even heard anything about this controversy, because again, it seems like a very exciting kind of film. It's like one of my kind of films. I love thrillers, I love action and stuff like that. So I'm going to see that film. Now, one thing that I found troubling about her statements is that it's another example of white male validation. Like, why do so many of our women need white male validation? It's like they're not beautiful until a white man tells them they're beautiful. They're not valuable until a white man tells them they're valuable. They're not desirable in their mind until a white man tells them that they're desirable. Why is that? Why is it that, you know, too many of our women are seeking white male validation? And shout out to Concrete Jungle. Thanks for tuning in. But I just think that that's unfortunate, man. I think that it's unfortunate that so many of our women, have this mentality that if the white man doesn't, cherish them, then somehow they don't have value. Somehow they don't, they're not beautiful in their minds. And then also, I want to get to this issue of dark skinned Black women versus lighter skinned Black women. And this idea that darker skinned women are not promoted in the media like that. They're not promoted as desirable and sexual and all that kind of stuff in terms of mainstream media, in terms of the films and stuff like that. They rarely have a Black woman, a darker skinned woman, period, in a lot of films, like being desired by Black men or any other kind of man. And I think that obviously it's problematic that they don't have more darker skinned women put in a position where they are like a love interest and stuff like that, where they are desired, where they are, very feminine and, the idyllic type of woman. Rarely does that happen in films. And I think that that's a shame. But I don't think that you need to have a dark-skinned woman to be with a Black man, with a white man, in order for that woman to be viewed as desirable or as beautiful and all that kind of stuff. I just think that you do need more dark-skinned women promotion in films and, on television, etc. And I think that part of that is up to us. There are plenty of Black directors and script writers and stuff like that. It's up to us to try to elevate, our darker skinned women and just Black women in general, instead of waiting around for white people to give us permission or to validate different things. We need to be the ones pushing for more dark-skinned women promotion in our own projects, and we need to spend with our dollars to tell the industry that we support positive images of dark-skinned women. So that's up to us in part. And I don't think that the way that you promote dark-skinned women is by having them in love scenes with white men. That's not how you do it. And I don't think that that's necessary in order for Black women to be viewed as beautiful and desirable. And, unfortunately, like, you could have a situation where a lot of Black men are, praising a dark-skinned woman and all that kind of stuff, praising Black women. But that praise, that celebration is not valid in the minds of some people unless it's a white man doing it, unless it's a white man vouching for it. And, her statements about like scenes with a white man, like, kind of suggested it's like that somehow there's more value in a scene where an older Black woman is being viewed as desirable by a white man, as opposed to just an older Black woman being viewed as desired by a Black man. Like, why is that such a big deal? And, there is a colorism element to that whole issue of, these scenes with white men with Black women. There's a colorism element to that because, there are plenty of films that have Black women with white men. There are plenty of these types of films, but often the characters are younger, and lighter and all that kind of stuff. So you have films with Halle Berry, for instance, being the love interest of white men. You have plenty of films with Zoe Saldana being viewed as desirable by these white men, being in relationships with white men. Plenty of films, like, she's been in so many films, you would virtually think that she is a honorary white woman because she's been in all these films featured as the love interest of all these white guys. So I get her point in terms of age and in terms of complexion, because it's rare that you will see that in these films. But I don't think that that's a bad thing that you rarely see that. I think that dark-skinned women are fine without being in scenes with these white men, kissing up these white men and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then also, like, one thing that I noticed, like, you have a lot of people condemning her statements and stuff like that. And I understand that, because I don't think that we really need to see more of that. I don't think that that's some sign of progress to have those kind of scenes where you have an older black woman with a white guy and all that kind of stuff. I don't see it as progress. I mean, because just because you have somebody in some love scene with somebody, that doesn't address the larger question of racism in society. I mean, that doesn't resolve that issue. That doesn't change that issue, because we know that having a relationship with a black person is not some answer to the problem of racism in America. We know that often it's racists that are in relationships with black people. You know, that's often you have situations where you have white men that use racial slurs and they're still in relationships with black women, using the N-word, making all kinds of racist statements and stuff like that. And I saw something where this white supremacist was allegedly in a relationship with a black woman, that guy who committed that crime at Kroger, where he shot and killed two innocent, unarmed black people simply because they were black. In that situation, there's speculation that he was in a marriage with a black woman, despite the fact that he uses the N-word and this and that. And you all have seen the videos that were done about this young biracial black woman who was in a relationship with this guy who was using the N-word and talking about Black Lives Matter and dissing Obama and all that kind of stuff. So being in a relationship with somebody is not some kind of cure for racism. In fact, you got racists, again, who are in relationships with black women. You got the example of, that guy, Strom Thurmond, a staunch segregationist who had no problem laying down with black women. So, the mere fact that you have these interracial relationships on the big screen and all that kind of stuff, that means absolutely nothing in terms of race progress and, the end of racism, white supremacy in this larger society. And in fact, you can say that that's like a way of, in some ways, promoting white racism, by erasing the black man from the scene, by erasing the black man as a strong character, as a partner for black women, that promotes more racism, because the black man is marginalized even in his relationship with the black woman. And, like, I saw this film that Oprah did, where she had, this biracial girl basically searching the universe for her white daddy and stuff like that. Her mother was black and all that kind of stuff. And you had this father who was a loving father, took care of his family and all that kind of stuff. That's an example where the black man has been erased from a film, like where you could have had a strong black man in that role, being, a loving father, intelligent father, a scientist and all that, someone looked up to and stuff. But instead of that, they had a white man as the father. So you had this black girl, this biracial girl, going around the universe looking for this white guy. And I can't remember the name of that film off the top of my head, but you all should know. It's like a film that was released, about a year ago or so. But yeah, I mean, that's a situation where those types of images basically results in black men being erased from these films and stuff. And, black women have already experienced this in the sense of, you have all these films that feature, a black man, for instance, in a relationship with a white woman, putting a white woman on a pedestal, or some biracial, racially ambiguous woman on a pedestal. And they often have these biracial, racially ambiguous women erasing dark-skinned, black women. And so, this situation where you have more scenes with black women and white men, isn't, going to empower anybody. It doesn't empower Black women, and it doesn't empower Black men. Obviously, it erases Black men. So instead of having more films where there are Black relationships, you'll have more films where there are interracial relationships. I mean, we already know that there aren't that many quality Black romance films. There aren't that many quality films that feature strong Black men as strong fathers, as strong providers and husbands and stuff like that. You don't have enough of that type of image of the Black man. And this idea that you need more relationships that are interracial between a Black woman and a white man, it's ridiculous. And I think that it will further lead to the erasure of the Black man from, films, and, in terms of a positive image, in terms of the positive promotion of healthy and productive relationships in the Black community. Because often when you see Black relationships on film, they're often dysfunctional. Most of the time when we see a Black relationship, it's on these reality shows where you have these dysfunctional type of relationships where, there's, all these physical altercations where there's, womanizing and adultery and all that kind of stuff. Rarely do you see like a productive image of Black family life. So that's my point about that. And then also I want to deal with the hypocrisy, man. Like, you have all these people like that express all this outrage about this statement that, Viola Davis has made. But these same people don't express the same kind of outrage when you see older Black men, for instance, on film in relationships with white women or other non-Black women. Like, I didn't see the same kind of outrage when Samuel L. Jackson was in that film Jackie Brown, or other types of films where you have older Black men in relationships with non-Black women. Like, I didn't see this kind of outrage when Denzel Washington was in Training Day with that Latina actress, and I can't remember her name. And there's been other films similar to that where you have these older Black men in relationships with younger non-Black women. I don't see all this same outrage where people are saying, well, I'm not going to see that film. And again, I think that that's a silly reason not to see a film. I will be seeing, watching this film, Widows and stuff like that. But it's just a shame to see, an accomplished Black actress basically promoting this idea that that Black women need to be validated by white men. I think that Black men need to be the ones who are cherishing Black women and who are celebrating Black women and who are validating our sisters. And, we just have to harness the power that we have, man. We have the power to make films. There are plenty of Black directors, again, plenty of Black screenwriters. And we as an audience need to show our support for those types of projects by, actually spending our dollars on those types of films. So I'm going to go through your comments before I sign out. I want to thank the people for tuning in. I just wanted to hop on here for a second to share my thoughts. And then also, one last point that I want to make on this is, like, how are you going to seek validation from the man or from the race of men who enslaved your people? How are you seeking validation from the race of men who subjected your people to Jim Crow, segregation, and humiliation? Why are you seeking validation from them? Why are you seeking validation from the race of men who is responsible for teaching your people to hate yourselves? It's the white man that taught us that dark skin was ugly, with the minstrel shows and, the image of Black people as savages, with, the image of, Black people as buffoons, the Sambo image where they had the Black face, the white lips, the big white lips and wide eyes and knotted wigs and stuff like that. Through that type of imagery, they taught Black people to hate themselves. They taught Black men to hate dark-skinned women through their media. They taught Black men to idolize white women as the standard of beauty, or to idolize alternatively very light women. Why are you going to turn to that same race of men that taught Black people to hate themselves? Why are you turning to them for validation and for promotion? Yeah, so Kimberly said we need more black on black functional love scenes. Exactly, we need more of that. That's what we need. Like, I'm wondering why she didn't say that. You know, because again, you don't have a positive image of the black relationship in film. You don't have that. You know, rarely do you see films where you have a strong, solid black family, you know, with a father who's a provider, you know, someone who's committed to his wife and his family. Rarely do you see that in films. You know, often these films with black superheroes, they're often with some white woman. You know, there are plenty of films, for instance, with like people like Will Smith, you know, often the love interest is some white woman or some Hispanic woman. It's rarely a black woman. So that's something that we need to be focused on, like promoting functional, healthy black relationships in films instead of focusing on, you know, some scene where some black woman is kissing some white guy. I mean, it just tells you how messed up our priorities are. And the thing that's so messed up about this is, you know, this is a woman that I admire. Like, I admire her as an actress and all that kind of stuff. And this is a woman who wanted to promote the idea of black women wearing their natural hair and all that kind of stuff, which is positive. But at the same time, she's talking about promoting, you know, the image of the darker skinned woman and natural woman. And even in this film, she has her natural hair and all that kind of stuff. While she's promoting that, she's promoting this interracial agenda. And I find that to be problematic, but often, you know, it's the natural woman, you know, the woman is all, you know, wears her natural hair, you know, dark skinned woman, you know, the woman is into African culture. Often those are the women that run around here with the white man while they're talking all this black power stuff. And the same is true for these black guys. You'll see a guy with a dashiki on, you know, a guy with long locks in his hair, you know, a guy that looks like he's one of these pro-black people, but he has a white woman on his arm. So I find that there's like some hypocrisy in that message. And, you know, a couple of years ago, I did a video about that where I basically asked the question, why do so many black women with natural hair find themselves in these interracial relationships? And when I get a chance, I'll post a link in the card so that people could check that out. But yeah, you're right, Kimberly. We need to promote more black on black functional love scenes and functional relationships instead of running to the same man that is responsible for this self-hatred in our community and looking to that same man as some kind of savior for the black community and for the black woman's image. Yeah, so let me just go through your comments before I sign out. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Shout out to CRU. Shout out to my man Water Sniper and David Bowman. He said, I really don't care who black women date these days. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are starting to feel that way, like they're beginning to like divest, like, you know, especially here online where you have all these women, you know, foaming at the mouth over these white guys, drooling over these white guys, you know, placing this white man on a pedestal and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, so a lot of people are going to just say, well, who cares? You know what I'm saying? And on an individual level, that's the mentality that I have. Like, I don't care that these individual women have decided to be with these white guys. The only thing I care about is the message being put out here that somehow this white man is some kind of virtual god and this black man is some kind of demon or some kind of ape. That's the kind of ideology that some of these women here on YouTube promote. They have become the hate that hate produces, man. So, yeah, so I mean, a lot of us, you know, a lot of people are beginning to divest and just like, you know, not care what these women say or do on YouTube and stuff, man. So let me continue on. Water Sniper said, knowing our history and what has been done, why would we want to see a black woman with a white man? Yeah, especially, I mean, yeah, obviously, like Why would we want to see that? As I was saying, I mean, it was the white man that enslaved us. It was the white man that segregated us. It was the white man that systematically raped and abused the black woman. It's the white man that through his media does not promote or respect black women, but yet black women are looking to him for promotion and for respect. Some black women. Yeah, for life, one deep one said the bedwench agenda is strong. Let's see what other people are saying. So RCU said there's no such thing as race. Race was created by racism. Um, yeah, I mean, I hear that argument a lot. Like scientifically, there's very little difference between a black man and a white man, or and other racial categories and stuff like that. Obviously, race is a social construct to a large degree, but race is a reality. There are cultural differences between black people and white people. There's a history tied to, segregation, and slavery and all that kind of stuff. A history that can't be ignored. You know, tell these people that there's no such thing as race when the police come and brutalize black men and shoot black men on a regular basis. Tell the society that there's no such thing as race when black people as a group are economically behind, when black people as a group have far less wealth than white people. When, according to a study that was done in the Nation magazine, they said it would take the black community over 200 years to amass the equal level of wealth that the white community has. Tell people that there's no such thing as race when you see the massive disparities in education in the black community. While I understand your point, I just think that it's like a naive type of stance to take, that there's no such thing as race and all that kind of stuff. We have to deal with this society as it is instead of, imagining it as something that it's not. In order to deal with the problem of racism, you have to acknowledge that race is a factor, that race is an issue, and that race, for all intents and purposes, is a reality. Whether that reality is just a social construct or if there's some, um, scientific aspect to that reality as well. So let's continue going through these comments. Now, I haven't heard about John Kinsman, so if you can tell me more information about that water sniper, I'll appreciate it. So B Money said up early and he's seeing a lot of commercials with interracial couples. Yeah, you do see a lot of that, like more like you see, a lot of black women with white men and a lot of black men with white women in a lot of these commercials. And that's by design, it's not a coincidence. Yeah, so yeah, I feel what you're saying for life about race, man. Like, I mean, with all this racism in society, we can't pretend like race is not real, man. When we see examples of, these white supremacists killing black people. I mentioned that situation at that Kroger's in Kentucky, where two innocent, unarmed black people were gunned down at that Kroger store. So we can't ignore the reality of race in this society. That man that shot up that synagogue and killed 11 people. That man was a white supremacist. Not only did he hate Jews, he hates black people. He has all kinds of social media referring to black people as the N-word. And that guy who killed those people at that Kroger's, he tried to go into a black church and kill black people. So let's not pretend like race is not some issue or race is not real, when every day we're reminded of just how real race is. When these police stop and harass black people, we're reminded the race is real. When police kill unarmed black men on a regular basis, we're reminded that race is real in this society. So yeah, let me continue on before I sign out. Just hold on one second. Yeah, for Life said black film directors will create swirling movies more than movies about black love. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's true because a lot of our people have colonized minds, man. We have to free our minds and learn to love ourselves and our people, man. Yeah, so you do have situations like that, but you also have people like a Spike Lee, who does, does films about relationships all the time. Um, and he does promote black women in his films and stuff. And you have others as well. We just need more of that. And even like the Black Panther film that was released, not too long ago, you had positive images of black people and African culture, and the black woman in particular. The black woman was put on a pedestal where she belongs in that film. So we just need more of that, man. B Money said Black American media needs to take a note from Nigeria, Nollywood, and Bollywood and create their own. Um, yeah, I've checked out a few Nigerian films. I'm not really crazy about those films. I need to get more into them. Like maybe I'm watching the wrong ones, but like I watch a few of them on Netflix and stuff. But it is, despite the quality of the films, like some of those films, they do promote Nigerian women and Nigerian people, period. They're not, promoting other cultures and all that kind of stuff, like the European standards and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I appreciate your point. Yeah, so Kimberly said that Denzel doesn't, I think you're saying kiss non-black actresses. Yeah, I heard something about that too, and I think I'm not sure if that's correct. Like, because I've seen lots of films with him, with non-black actresses, where he has a non-black woman as his love interest. And I'm not sure, like in all those films, he didn't kiss these women. I have to go back and check that out because even in the film Malcolm X, he's with a white woman in that film during the early part of Malcolm X's life. And if I recall correctly, he did kiss a white woman in that. But I do get your point. But even if he doesn't kiss these women, he's featured as being in relationships with non-black women. So B Money said, isn't she supposed to be playing Harriet Tubman in a movie soon? I don't know about that. I hope so, because I would love to see that film. I want to see a new film on Harriet Tubman. And there's a old film that was out like a while ago with Cicely Tyson. I think she played Harriet Tubman. So I want to go back and see that film. So hold on one second, y'all. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. I gotta get ready for work. Yeah, so Love Wisdom said, agreed, you can't complain about not being taken seriously, yet promoting this nonsense kissing on black men. I mean, white men. Um, yeah, I just don't see like why it's so important for a black woman to be in a film kissing some white guy. I mean, I challenge these people to explain to me why that's so valuable and so important and such a big deal. Yeah, so CRU said, great video. I got to catch a live. I appreciate that. David Bowman said, excellent video. Nubian King said, I enjoyed the commentary, brother. Keep doing your thing. The Psycho said, watch how Cynthia G makes this our fault. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't do that and, spins it some kind of way and blames the black man for this black woman, saying that she wants to see more scenes with white men kissing black women. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she finds some kind of way to spin it that way. And I know these, the swirlers are probably all happy, celebrating this as some great comment, celebrating what Viola Davis said as some kind of great, profound commentary or something. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they're spinning it. Oh, somebody bought a For Life said, anybody watch that Tales from the Hood too? It's hot garbage. Yeah, that's on a whole nother subject. But yeah, I started to watch that for a second. I'm really interested in seeing how that is. But it looked like it was probably low quality. But I'm going to check it out. I still have to see it, man. I got to check that out. But let's see what other people are saying. Yeah, so somebody talked about how, Jordan said that Steve McQueen of this movie is married to was married to white women, but pro-black people won't bring that up. Like, yeah, I don't know if I didn't even know he was directing this film. Like, I don't know that much about this film. I've just seen the trailers for the film. And, because he's not making any comments that are making the news, I think that that's probably the reason why a lot of people aren't talking about that. And, I think the bigger issue is not like whether or not somebody is personally in an interracial relationship. I think the bigger issue is the message that's being put out here. Like, if somebody's in some interracial relationship, as far as I'm concerned, that's their business, as long as they're not fake about it, as long as they're not on here like that Phil from the Advised show, that hypocrite, like on here talking about how they hate interracial relationships and this and that, and the interracial relationship agenda, but yet they're in an interracial relationship. As long as there's no hypocrisy involved, as long as they're not out here, trying to claim to be on some pro-black militant stuff, I don't care about these individual situations. Like, I'm not like digging into people's lives and all that kind of stuff. I'm more concerned about the messages that people put out here. And I guess indirectly that director is putting out a certain message by having that particular scene with that dark-skinned woman with a white man and stuff like that. So in that sense, yes, that issue needs to be addressed. The fact that you had this director promoting that kind of message, that should be addressed. And, and because of that, his personal situation does matter. But if this was just some man that just happened to be in that relationship and they weren't pushing some kind of agenda through their films, then at that point it wouldn't be relevant at all. But because of the situation, yeah, that does become relevant. And the same people that are speaking out against Viola Davis also need to address that director, assuming that what you're saying is correct. That needs to be addressed as well. The fact that you have this director putting this message out here, that idea needs to be addressed. So let's see. Yeah, I gotta get I'm getting running late, y'all. I gotta get up and get out of here. Um, so CRU said, it is our fault. We have to take the lead and they will follow us, but we are subjected to white supremacy. It's like CRU is making the argument for Cynthia G. He's making that argument because I know that that's exactly what she's going to say. She's going to say, well, You know, just like, you know, the Chrissies of this YouTube world, you know, to say like, since the black man's not promoting the black woman and this and that, the black man's not doing X, Y, and Z, you know, they go into all this rationalization of the nonsense. And, you know, that's exactly what Cynthia G will do. She'll probably run with that type of argument and saying it's our fault because we don't control media and we don't have the power and we're subjected to white supremacy and we're victims and all this and that. Yeah, so you're making her argument for her, and I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't run with that type of argument. And B Money says we need to promote and project our images. You know, that's what we have to do as a people instead of waiting around for the white man to do it. You know, you have plenty of black people that are in a position to create their own films, like, you know, Oprah Winfrey with all her resources and stuff. She has an opportunity to have some input in the film, and you got a film where you got this biracial girl running around the universe looking for her white daddy, just like a lot of these women here on YouTube are literally searching for their white daddy, looking for Waldo, in the words of some of these other YouTubers on here. You know, some of these wannabe swirlers, you know, promote swirling on their channel, and they don't even have the white man that they're out here promoting and, you know, celebrating. Like that unsuccessful lady's job lady. All right, man, let me not get sidetracked. All right, I'm gonna have to sign out. I'm not gonna have enough time to go through your comments, through the rest of the comments, but I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Please like this video, share this video, support your man, New Possibilities, encourage people to subscribe to my channel. I want to get 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. That's my goal. I'm at a little over 8,000 now. You mean to tell me that this channel's not worthy of 10,000 subscribers? Come on, man. Support my channel. If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to it now. Hit that bell so you'll know when I go live, because rarely do I announce when I'm going live. You know, rarely do I have like a set day for when I do live videos. So just hit that notification bell so you'll know when I'm posting this content. So with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.